Mental depression knows no age, race, or gender, but suicide is something therapists and doctors on the Pine Ridge Reservation are dealing with at a rate 1.5 times the national average.
It's a community of about 42,000 people. Half are under 18, and it's believed half of those children have thought about suicide. Oftentimes in the Native American community, suicide is not talked about until tonight. We want to warn you that some of the interviews and images you are about to see may be disturbing to some viewers.
I ended up finding a rope, and I just was so caught up in my emotions.
He stood up and said he didn't want to go home. He wanted to die because he's tired of taking care of his brother and sister at home at 8 years old.
I came so close to doing it myself.
Put it around my neck, and I just let myself go.
They're stories that are all too familiar on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Young people attempting and committing suicide at a rate that far exceeds the national average. Children as young as 7 believing they have no hope, no future, and no way out of their depression. According to the Suicide Prevention Action Network, suicide ranks as the second leading cause of death for those aged 10 to 34 living on a reservation. Yvonne Corey is a youth development specialist on Pine Ridge. She's seen young people at their darkest hour.
The youngest, 12.
12. What is going through a 12-year-old's mind?
Exactly. What is going through a 7-year-old's mind, because we've had them as young as kindergarten with serious ideations. We have had a 7-year-old first grader who attempted to hang himself.
At one of its worst points, Pine Ridge had 6 suicides within a 7-week period, 2 in one day. A 12-year-old and a 16-year-old both died by hanging. News of any suicide quickly spreads across the sprawling reservation. It's guaranteed that one suicide will affect several people in each of the reservation's 52 communities, in some cases pushing a young person even further into depression. Life for adolescents here is considered tough. Some teens are left to raise themselves or head up a large household. Up to 25 people have been known to live in a small home. Combine that with peer pressure, it's a tough mindset to break.
Yeah, they don't have the clothes, they don't have the name brand Nikes, they don't have the Reebok shoes and the South Pole tops and the hoodies to go to school. I know of several young men who have 2 pairs of pants and 3 t-shirts, and that's what they wear, until one just got fed up and ran his arm through a window in his head and said, "I'll bleed to death."
16-year-old Kiana Walking Eagle says she's battled with self-esteem and severe depression herself. Her mother is out of the picture. Her father is in prison until 2027. She was left to help take care of 11 siblings. She too attempted suicide after her own friend took her own life. And 14-year-old Mason Highhawk, a 7th grader, says he's come close to suicide after his cousin, his best friend, and a young boy hung himself. Processing the loss for both teens was almost impossible.
How did it affect my family? I don't know. We all went through a different stage. I went through my stage.
How was your stage?
Pure, like, cold.
I ended up finding a rope, and I just was so caught up in my emotions, and I felt really mad and really sad and everything. And I just threw the rope up there and tied it and put it around my neck, and I just let myself go.
What Kiana did not know is that she was being followed by a family member.
And I could just remember, like, her screaming, running towards me, and then everything was, like, going black.
I mean, this is nothing new to you.
But with every tragedy, there is a story of triumph. Fast forward 2 years and Kiana is active with a few young people known as the Bear Group who are trying to stop suicide on the reservation. It's an in-your-face approach to talk about peer pressure and suicide. The Black Hills chapter of the American Ad Federation is also donating its resources and launching an anti-suicide campaign, the Lakota Voice Project. On this day, they're passing out hundreds of disposable cameras so students can illustrate what they believe hope looks like. Snapshots of family, friends, faith, even 4-legged companions. Moments of triumph, knowledge, a bright tomorrow.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, brace!
But even with a heavy media campaign getting ready to launch, Decory says it still comes down to one-on-one contact. The suicide hotline on the reservation for now is her cell phone. keeping track of some 600 children and teens.
After a while, you could just pretty much look at somebody and tell them, you know, they just need somebody to encourage them. They just need somebody to say, hi, how you doing today?
Armed with her cell phone and encouragement, the Bear Group led by Decory performed skits across Pine Ridge. The resources are limited, but the message of hope is not.
There is hope out there. You just gotta go look for it. I came so close to doing it myself, but there's one reason to do it. Take yourself out of everything and see how's this gonna affect everybody else. How's it gonna affect my family? How's it gonna affect my friends?
But they have powerful stories and they're willing to share their stories. That, yeah, there is disparity here, but I am the future, I am the hope. And if other kids can see that in these kids, it's gonna give them some hope.
The campaign being launched by the Black Hills chapter of the American Ad Federation will launch this fall through TV, radio, and print. The pictures that were taken by the children will be used in that campaign and will also be used in an art exhibit next month in Kyle. If you or anyone you know is in crisis, you can call 1-800-273-TALK. We also have a list of other resources locally on our website at blackhillsfox.com.